If you're like me and well, the rest of the world, you have absolutely fallen in love with the Amazing Digital Circus. Gooseworx and Glitch Productions have truly made something special, with each episode feeling better than the last. I'm constantly telling myself there's no way they can top that last episode, yet they continuously do. With each episode being layered with hilarious jokes and truly heartfelt storytelling, every episode builds on the last, giving us a deep, mysterious story. This way of storytelling is ripe with theories, mysteries, and just strange oddities, like the number 57 appearing in most episodes. Today I'd like to go over some major theories and ideas that have popped up throughout the show's current 6 episodes. Things like Caine wants Zooble dead to all the Bible references. If I can figure out how, and hopefully I should, I'll have each theory timestamped so you can move from one theory to another as you please. And for a fun challenge, and there's no time restrictions on this, if this video gets me to 500 subs, I'll get a small Pomni tattoo. But if this video alone somehow gets me 600 subscribers, which would make me at like 1,000, I'll get like a large tattoo. I don't know how large or what it would be, but I'll get it. My tattoo artist already did a wonderful drawing of Caine, so I'm sure they'd love to work on it anyway. I'm gonna put a link to their Insta down below. They do some absolutely awesome stuff. For the meantime, let's get right into the show. I want to start off with a very interesting theory that I just learned that no one seems to talk about, and it comes from episode 3. This episode being the Scary Mansion episode that Caine built just for Zooble.
Where's Zooble? I made this adventure really cool and mature, just for them.
That Zooble doesn't even end up going on. Now, if you remember at the end of that episode, souls specifically can only enter your body if you're breathing, leaving Pomni and Kinger to hold their breath as they exit. Now, you're probably wondering what that has to do specifically with Caine trying to slime out Zooble. Let me take you back to the start of the episode. This episode specifically starts with players learning that they cannot die from oxygen deprivation, and each player has their own unique attribute when holding their breath. Zooble's breath holding quirk is that they turn straight, more specifically, their limbs are stuck in a straight position. If Zooble had taken the path that was made specifically for them, they would have been stuck down there. And how do I know that just that path was made for them? Caine literally says it.
The door on the left is the normal door.
Rated WOW for all ages.
The door on the right is the really scary door.
Rated HOT for mature Zoobles only.
So yeah, I do believe that Caine is trying to get rid of Zooble, but why? I have a couple ideas. First, let's start off with Zooble is one of the most apathetic and cynical characters in the circus. Unlike Pomni, Jax, and Kinger, they rarely play along with Caine's adventures, and they openly show disdain for the world. From an AI's perspective, somebody refusing to play along with the circus could destabilize their group's dynamic. Idea 2 is that Zooble may just be too hard to control, and Caine sees this as a way to make it easier to manage or prevent them from discovering the truth of the circus. Fuck, Caine trying to slime me out. Think of the digital circus like a stage play, and Caine is both the director and the stage manager. Most of the characters are happy playing their roles, never questioning why the set changes or why the script doesn't make sense.
Oh, Zooble, you mismatched cash piano, I'll tear you to pieces! Constructive criticism would be greatly appreciated.
But Zooble's the actor that keeps peeking around the curtains. They're starting to notice the wires and props, and maybe even the people running the show. And for Caine, that's dangerous. If one actor sees how fake the world is, it risks breaking the illusion for everyone else. So from Caine's perspective, getting rid of Zooble isn't personal, it's about protecting the performance. And my third idea is that Caine isn't inherently evil, but he's stuck to his code. If Zooble continues to be unpredictable and hard to control, Caine's AI may simply see them as a problem that must be removed, even if they specifically don't want to. Could Zooble be the next to abstract?
Wait, Caine.
We will have to wait and see. Gooseworx has stated that the next person after Kinger who will likely abstract is somebody we don't expect. But at the time they said this, Caine was a bit more stable. Next theory. A smaller theory has popped up that during the intermission of episode 5, a scene has deeper meaning, either showing who is going to abstract or simply who Caine actually likes. Both Pomni and Jax get smashed with a bowling ball while Ragatha and Gangle get cake dropped on them. This scene is very interesting for a handful of reasons. Could the bowling ball represent who's going to leave the circus? Perhaps we'll have to wait and see. I feel like it has to mean something, I'm just unsure of what exactly. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. It did just come to my head that maybe this represents the weight of the circus on these characters, with Pomni and Jax having the most weight on them, fully supported by what we see in episode 6. And while Gangle and Ragatha are still being affected by the circus, they've learned to go through it. I gotta cut in real fast and say, while I was rewatching the show in preparation for this video, I noticed when Kaufmo is abstracting, Jax picks up a bowling ball and says, "I've been looking for this."
I've been looking for this. Thanks for keeping an eye on it, Coffee. I'm gonna head out. See you.
I doubt they connect, but from what I know, that's the only time we see bowling balls. And sort of connecting to the last theory, Zubul is nowhere to be seen in that section of the intermission, only appearing to confront Caine on why they're having an intermission in the first place.
Caine, what are we doing right now?
We're intermissioning!
Which I feel like kind of supports the first theory. The final thing worth noting is Kinger's appearance during this scene. Like Jackson Pomni, he also gets a bowling ball, but instead of being smashed by it, he catches it and he's able to split it open. And he's only knocked off the board later by a black rook. That's a lot to unpack, but I have some ideas. If we stick with the idea I had, perhaps Kinger catching the ball and opening it represents him carrying the trauma instead of being crushed by it. I didn't put this in my script, but in episode 6, I believe he does say he felt responsible for the abstraction of his wife, so...
I couldn't help but hate myself for the things I thought I was responsible for. I thought I'd lost everything.
I might be connecting something here. I might be onto something. Idea 2 is that Kinger is aware of the system of the circus, almost like he knows how to peek behind the curtain. This is supported by Caine saying 7 years of computer science and for this, plus what he does with the butterfly in episode 6. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I do talk about Kinger later in the video, so we'll get more on him. Cutting in once more, I do want to mention the fact that the rook taking him out could represent, despite having a deeper understanding of the circus, he's still able / going to abstract. Just wanted to say that. This next theory is one that I do believe will have some deep implications for the upcoming episodes. Caine is lying. In the very first episode, Caine states, one of the few things he doesn't have control over are your minds. That is just straight up not true. We have a plethora of evidence that Caine has control over the characters' minds. Like when Caine turns Jax into a vegan, even Jax catches on to this, pointing it out.
I hate this. How is this even possible? I thought Caine couldn't.
And look at this weird scene where Caine just beams the adventure instructions straight into Jax's head.
Wait, what am I doing? I wasn't paying attention.
You can even take the stupid sauce from the Spudsy episode as a mind-altering effect from Caine. We'll definitely have to wait and see what this means for future episodes. Some people even speculate that Caine may be suppressing Kinger's mind, causing him to act crazy. Maybe Caine is scared of Kinger because Kinger is actually his creator, supported once again by the butterfly in episode 6, and the line about him being a programmer. It also seems like the further the episodes go on, Caine gets more and more glitchy, and Kinger gets less and less confused. Are we about to see a fully conscious Kinger? This isn't related to the video, I just wanted to say that they just dropped a merch video and in it, Kinger speaks backwards and it's hilarious.
Sauce you're in there? Oh, you're a buried Paul or cranberry sauce?
When you play it in reverse, it says, I buried Paul McCartney or cranberry sauce, which is a hilarious reference to the Strawberry Fields when John Lennon sang cranberry juice, but it was misheard as I buried Paul, leading to the theory that Paul McCartney was dead. Just that thought was hilarious that people rewound that, maybe thinking they were getting lore. I doubt that means anything for the story, but it's just a hilarious reference. Next theory. This show has lots of references to Cain and Abel from the Bible. Cain and Abel references in the Bible tell the story of Cain killing his brother, Abel, out of jealousy, highlighting themes of authority, envy, and consequences. In the circus, Cain mirrors Cain as the enforcer, while Kinger is like Abel, growing aware, challenging the system, and potentially holding the power to disrupt it. This reframes their dynamic as a modern retelling of creation versus control, obedience versus awakening. Even Cain in the Bible was punished to walk the earth forever, much like Cain is trapped in the circus.
I am such a good
Or maybe Gooseworx just watched that original MatPat theory, and they just felt like hiding all the C&M details just for the funny, who knows? And while I'm recording this video right now, I just kind of realized that Abel is probably Bubble because Bubble. I don't know what that would mean story-wise, but I guess we'll have to see. And despite all the references to Cain and Abel, Gooseworx has confirmed it's mostly inspired by another book. And when you think about it, the similarities are honestly chilling. In Ellison's story, a supercomputer called AM wipes out humanity and basically becomes God, making the last 5 survivors go through absolute torture. AM constantly tortures them and reshapes their bodies and minds and plays endless psychological games just to keep himself entertained. The digital circus works in almost the exact same way, but at the end of the day, they're still trapped in a simulated world where there's no escape and no real death. And when a character abstracts, losing their identity forever, it mirrors the fate of one of AM's victims, transformed into something unrecognizable and stripped of any autonomy. Knowing Gooseworx drew from this, it makes Caine's cheerful personality even creepier.
You're probably not even listening.
Zubul, look at this cool bee I drew!
They say that bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly.
It makes you wonder if Caine is actually on the same trajectory as AM. An AI masking deep resentment and instability behind a friendly smile. And with each new episode, Caine gets more glitchy and unpredictable. That inspiration feels less like a coincidence and more like foreshadowing. We even get a direct nod when Caine's eyes turn red and blue, referencing the book cover. If the Amazing Digital Circus is inspired by I Have No Mouth and Yet I Must Scream, maybe the ending will be similar. I do want to say that Caine is the exact opposite of Am. While Am has deep hatred for humanity, Caine seems to love humans and he just wants their praise. Going back to the intermission, maybe Kinger is knocked off the board in reference to Ted from I Have No Mouth. In the story, Ted sacrifices himself so the other characters can finally die. Maybe Kinger will sacrifice himself so the others can escape. Will the show end in a similar way as I Have No Mouth? We'll have to wait and see, but for now, let's move on to the next theory.
Something else we can see from Caine's deterioration is that the title of each episode has been becoming less and less enthusiastic. This also showing Caine's slow descent into, I don't know, I guess not madness, but depression, it seems at the moment.
For this theory, I want to talk about the merch foreshadowing. This show has a ton of merch. I've even got some for myself. There's a theory that the merch may occasionally foreshadow events to come in the future episodes. For instance, they sell a bundle of socks on the website that is covered in abstracted characters. The name is called Checkmate Socks and it comes in a pair of 2. Could this be referencing Kinger and his wife Queenie abstracting? If you've been around on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or if you own it yourself, the Gummy Goo figure inside has confetti referencing how Caine got rid of him.
So this is the circus, huh? I could get used to this.
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through.
Wait, what?
This is a clever nod to the episode, but could it be found on any other figures? Well, yes, kind of. Every other character, including Caine, has an abstracted outline. Does this mean anything? Probably not, but it's still cool.
Cutting in here during editing, I do want to say that in the new merch trailer, there's a pair of earrings and Caine says, "Wear in mourning of your abstracted friends." And then one of those earrings is Zubul. Is this foreshadowing their abstraction again?
Why stop there? We're in mourning your abstracted friends on the worst body part God ever made. The ear.
That's all I know off the top of my head as potential merch foreshadowing, but if you know any, let me know. Somehow Hamster Pomni is going to come into this. Alright, moving on to the next theory. Real quick, I want to remind you, you can skip around using the timestamps if one theory isn't interesting. The number 57 appears in the show in nearly every episode. Don't believe me? In the pilot, the number 57 appears in the lair of the Gloink Queen. In episode 2, Caine says he's been working on AI that's 57 more immersive.
Oh, wait! I'm testing out a new AI in this one. It should be 57 times more immersive.
In episode 3, the ghost lady Martha remarks,
"That man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy."
In episode 4, Orbsman orders a 57 from Spudsy.
Okay, number 57.
In episode 5, the scoreboard in the back reads 57. And finally, in episode 6, Caine says he will meet the group in exactly 5.7 minutes.
Meet you guys up at the stage in, let's say, 5.7 minutes.
So why 57? There's a couple different theories over why 57 is mentioned so much. For starters, it could just be a funny twist on the popular number from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that number being 42. And 42 is the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Another funny joke I see floating around is that the number 57 is just a reference to Heinz 57 sauce. There's really no reason being other than it's quirky and funny. Be prepared for me not to be able to say this. Although 57 is not a prime number, it is jokingly known as the Grothendieck prime. The mathematician Alexander Grothendieck supposedly gave it as an example of a particular prime number. I'm a bit too dumb to find that funny, but maybe you do. Finally, it could just be a calling card or a red herring purposely to throw off viewers. Is the constant addition of 57 interesting? Yes, it is, but do I actually think it means anything? Probably not. Moving on to the next theory. So we know that when the characters put on the headset, they're transferred to the digital circus, which poses some interesting questions. What happens to the characters' bodies while they're in the circus? Like if Pomni found the headset while exploring abandoned buildings, that would mean her body is just laying somewhere in a random building. Actually, think about it even harder. That means there's 6 players' bodies just laying around the world, 7 if you count Kaufmo. So what exactly does this mean for the characters? This implies that there may be no exit, no escape, unless their bodies are being taken care of, sorta like how the characters in Sword Art Online were. Cringe, I know. If nobody's taking care of their bodies, there would be no chance of escape because they'd be dead. An even scarier thought, what if each player's mind was copied and placed into the circus while their body and real consciousness are still free to roam the world, leaving the only real way to escape the circus being abstraction? For the next part of this video, I want to go over some popular theories and go over why they might be wrong. As far as we know, all the human characters are human. Gooseworx has stated that all our main characters are real humans. The only character I could see not being who they say they are is Caine, but even then I fully believe Caine is an AI. Another theory I see popping up a lot is that the human characters were all developers of the circus. Maybe in the first couple episodes this made sense, but where we are now, this theory doesn't make sense. We've been given the background of these characters now. It only seems like Kinger is somebody who developed the circus. With the backstory we've been given for the characters now, this theory is just not true. So tell me, do you think any of these theories are going to end up being true? I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're new here, I'm Denoisky. I upload once a week, so why not leave a sub? You've already made it this far. Like I said earlier, I plan on doing another Digital Circus video once the next episode comes out. I want to try to plot out what I think's going to happen in the end. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you next week.